चाहे किसी भी देश के द्वारा संचालित किया जा रहा हो। मिशन के निश्चितता और अनिश्चितता के बीच बहुत ही महीन अंतर होता है, जिससे कि एक मिशन सफल या असफल होता है। लेकिन ना हम थके ना हम हारे। हमने अपनी पिछली कमियों को सुधारते हुए आज पूरी तरह से आश्वस्त किया है कि लैंडर मॉड्यूल निश्चित तौर पे चंद्रमा की सतह पर सेफ और सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग करेगा। सभी दर्शकों की जानकारी के लिए अब हम इसरो के अब तक के सभी लूनर मिशंस की संक्षिप्त विवरण प्रस्तुत करेंगे। जी हाँ, इसरो का पहला मून मिशन चंद्रयान-1 अक्टूबर 2008 में पीएसएलवी रॉकेट के द्वारा सफलतापूर्वक प्रक्षेपित किया गया था। चंद्रयान-1 चंद्रमा के सतह पर पानी की खोज करके पहले ही इतिहास रच चुका है। यही कारण है कि आजकल विश्व के तमाम अंतरिक्ष वैज्ञानिक और स्पेस एजेंसियां चंद्रमा को और करीब से जानने के लिए उत्सुक दिख रही हैं। अगर हम बात करें चंद्रयान-2 की, जो इसरो का दूसरा मून मिशन है, जुलाई 2019 में इसरो के सबसे ताकतवर रॉकेट LBM-3 द्वारा सफलतापूर्वक प्रक्षेपित किया गया था और आज भी लगभग 4 साल बाद यह चंद्रमा के 100 किलोमीटर के सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट में घूमते हुए बहुत ही उत्तम क्वालिटी का डेटा प्रदान कर रहा है। मिशन के प्रारंभ में इसकी आयु 1 साल निर्धारित की गई थी, परंतु LBM-3 द्वारा बहुत ही सटीक इंजेक्शन और मिशन मैनेजमेंट की वजह से चंद्रयान-2 काफ़ी लंबे समय तक कार्यरत रहेगा। अब तक चंद्रयान-2 चंद्रमा के लगभग सभी भागों का चित्र ले चुका है। इसका एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण पेलोड OHRC यानी कि ऑर्बिटर हाई रिजोल्यूशन कैमरा विश्व का सबसे बेहतरीन कैमरा है, जो कि चंद्रमा के सतह का लगातार पिक्चर भेज रहा है। अब मैं आरुषि जी से निवेदन करूंगा कि वो आप लोगों को इसरो के वर्तमान मिशन चंद्रयान-3 के बारे में बताएं।
अभी आपने मिश्रा जी के द्वारा सुना इसरो के अब तक के लूनार मिशंस का विवरण। अब चलते हैं टुवर्ड्स चंद्रयान।
नमस्कार, इसरो के इस महाअभियान से जुड़ने के लिए आप सादर आमंत्रित हैं। मैं पद्मदेव मिश्रा अपने को होस्ट श्रीमती आरुषि सेठ के साथ आप सभी को और देश विदेश से जुड़े सभी दर्शकों का हार्दिक अभिनंदन और स्वागत करता हूं। 23 अगस्त 2023 आज की शाम इसरो के वैज्ञानिकों और सभी अंतरिक्ष वैज्ञानिकों के साथ लैंडर मॉड्यूल को चंद्रमा के सतह पर उतरने के ऐतिहासिक पलों को देखने के लिए तैयार और उत्सुक हैं। जी हाँ, इसरो के गौरवपूर्ण इतिहास में एक और अध्याय जुड़ने जा रहा है और आज हम सब लोग इसके साक्षी बनेंगे। आप ये सारे विजुअल्स अपने स्क्रीन पर इसरो के मिशन ऑपरेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स यानी मॉक्स से देख रहे हैं, जो कि बेंगलुरु में स्थित टेलीमेट्री ट्रैकिंग एंड कमांड नेटवर्क स्ट्रैक से प्रसारित किया जा रहा है। ये विजुअल्स आपको पावर डिसेंट के काउंटडाउन और उस पथ को प्रदर्शित कर रहा है जिस पे चलकर लैंडर आज चंद्रमा के साउथ पोल पे सेफ और सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग करेगा। आपको ध्यान दिला दूं, इस समय हम लोग पावर डिसेंट शुरू होने से लगभग 22 मिनट दूर हैं। जो दर्शक थोड़ी देर से जुड़े हैं उनकी जानकारी के लिए बता दें, आप लोग इस ऐतिहासिक पल को इसरो के ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट, फेसबुक, ट्विटर और यूट्यूब पे भी देख सकते हैं।
Honorable dignitaries, delegates, scientists, media personnel, and dear viewers, a very good evening to all of you. We at ISRO welcome you to the live coverage of India's prestigious Chandrayaan-3 mission's landing event on the lunar surface. These are the visuals from Mission Operation Complex at ISRO's Telemetry Tracking and Command Network, ISTRAC, situated in Namma, Bengaluru, Karnataka. I, Arushi Seth, and my colleague, Dr. Padamdeo Mishra, are your hosts for the evening and shall accompany you on the journey of the landing event from powered descent start to touchdown. Today, we shall be witnessing the final phase of the critical and most technologically challenging mission operations of Chandrayaan-3, wherein the lander module will be making a safe and soft landing on the surface of the moon. These display screens show the countdown to the power descent start as well as the path that will be followed by the lander module. We are 18 minutes away from the commencement of power descent. India is at the brink of creating history as we all await with bated breath to witness the landing on Moon's south polar region.
इसरो का पहला मून मिशन चंद्रयान-1 अक्टूबर 2008 में पीएसएलवी धन्यवाद आरुषि। अगर मैं सही मायने में कहूं तो अंतरिक्ष का कोई भी मिशन हो और चाहे किसी भी देश के द्वारा संचालित किया जा रहा हो, इसरो मिशन की निश्चितता और अनिश्चितता के बीच बहुत ही महीन अंतर होता है, जिससे कि एक मिशन सफल या असफल होता है। लेकिन ना हम थके ना हम हारे। हमने पिछली कमियों को सुधारते हुए आज पूरी तरह से आश्वस्त किया है कि लैंडर मॉड्यूल निश्चित तौर पे चंद्रमा के सतह पर सेफ और सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग करेगा। सभी दर्शकों के जानकारी के लिए अब हम इसरो के अब तक के सभी लूनर मिशंस को संक्षिप्त विवरण प्रस्तुत करेंगे। जी हाँ, इसरो का पहला मून मिशन चंद्रयान-1 अक्टूबर 2008 में पीएसएलवी रॉकेट के द्वारा सफलतापूर्वक प्रक्षेपित किया गया था। चंद्रयान-1 ने चंद्रमा के सतह पर पानी की खोज करके पहले ही इतिहास रच चुका है। यही कारण है कि आजकल विश्व के तमाम अंतरिक्ष वैज्ञानिक और स्पेस एजेंसियां चंद्रमा को और करीब से जानने के लिए उत्सुक दिख रही हैं। अगर हम बात करें चंद्रयान-2 की, जो इसरो का दूसरा मिशन है, जुलाई 2019 में इसरो के सबसे ताकतवर रॉकेट LVM-3 द्वारा सफलतापूर्वक प्रक्षेपित किया गया था और आज भी लगभग 4 साल बाद यह चंद्रमा के 100 किलोमीटर के सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट में घूमते हुए बहुत ही उत्तम क्वालिटी का डेटा प्रदान कर रहा है। मिशन के प्रारंभ में इसकी आयु 1 साल निर्धारित की गई थी, परंतु LVM-3 द्वारा बहुत ही सटीक इंजेक्शन और मिशन मैनेजमेंट की वजह से चंद्रयान-2 काफ़ी लंबे समय तक कार्यरत रहेगा। अब तक चंद्रयान-2 चंद्रमा के लगभग सभी भागों का चित्र ले चुका है। इसका एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण पेलोड OHRC यानी कि ऑर्बिटर हाई रेजोल्यूशन कैमरा विश्व का सबसे बेहतरीन कैमरा है, जो कि चंद्रमा के सतह का लगातार पिक्चर भेज रहा है। अब मैं आरुषि जी से निवेदन करूंगा कि वो आप लोगों को इसरो के वर्तमान मिशन चंद्रयान-3 के बारे में बताएं।
अभी आपने मिश्रा जी के द्वारा सुना इसरो के अब तक के लूनार मिशंस का विवरण। अब चलते हैं टुवर्ड्स Chandrayaan-3, the follow-up mission of Chandrayaan-2, which has been designed to accomplish our mission goals. The primary objective of Chandrayaan-3 mission is the demonstration of safe and soft landing on the lunar surface. This demonstration is a critical aspect for ISRO's future interplanetary missions. In addition to this, the mission objectives also include demonstration of roving capability and conduction of in situ scientific experiments on Moon's surface. Carried on the shoulders of India's heaviest rocket, LVM-3, on the 14th of July, Chandrayaan-3 was placed in the precise elliptic parking orbit of size 170 by 36,500 kilometers. ISRO, in its mission plan of following the incremental trajectory approach, carried a total of 5 earthbound maneuvers. The fifth apogee raising maneuver, which took place on the 25th of July, placed the spacecraft in an orbit of 250 by 1,27,000 kilometers. At the early hours of 1st August, the translunar injection was carried out, after which the composite module began the final leg of its long journey of nearly 3,84,000 kilometers for its rendezvous with the Moon. The TLI was a key step in the mission, enabling the spacecraft to escape Earth's gravitational pull and travel to the Moon. An orbit of 288 by 3,69,328 kilometers was achieved at the end of the translunar injection.
जी हाँ, ट्रांसलूनर इंजेक्शन किसी भी इंटरप्लेनेटरी मिशन के लिए बहुत ही आवश्यक परंतु कठिन ऑपरेशन होता है। इस सफल मैन्यूवर के बाद चंद्रयान-3 पृथ्वी से दूर निकलकर चंद्रमा के प्रभाव क्षेत्र में एक हाइपरबोलिक ट्रेजेक्टरी के द्वारा पहुंचाया गया। पुनः 5 अगस्त 2023 को लूनर ऑर्बिट इंसर्शन के द्वारा चंद्रयान-3 को 160 किलोमीटर के पेरीलून और 18,000 किलोमीटर के अपोलून के साथ चंद्रमा के इलिप्टिकल ऑर्बिट में स्थापित कर दिया गया। टीएलआई के तरह एलओआई भी एक बहुत जटिल ऑपरेशन होता है। इसमें हमें यह ध्यान देना आवश्यक होता है कि उपग्रह के वेगमान को एक निश्चित बिंदु से घटाया जा सके, अन्यथा उपग्रह चंद्रमा के प्रभाव क्षेत्र से बाहर निकल जाएगा। एलओआई के सफलतापूर्वक परिचालन के बाद चंद्रयान-3 की कक्षा को 4 बार और परिवर्तित किया गया। इस दौरान चंद्रमा की अधिकतम ऊंचाई को घटाकर 160 किलोमीटर कर दिया गया। इस पूरी प्रक्रिया में प्रपल्सन मॉड्यूल का लगभग 755 किलोग्राम ईंधन का उपयोग हुआ और चंद्रयान-3 के वेगमान को लगभग 850 मीटर प्रति सेकंड कम कर दिया गया। लैंडर मॉड्यूल को लगभग 150 किलोमीटर के सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट में स्थापित करने के बाद 17 अगस्त 2023 को प्रपल्सन मॉड्यूल से अलग कर दिया गया। पुनः लैंडर मॉडल के ऑर्बिट को 2 डीबूस्ट मैन्यूवर्स के द्वारा 150 किलोमीटर के सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट से घटाकर 25 गुणे 130 किलोमीटर के एलिप्टिकल ऑर्बिट में स्थापित कर दिया गया। इस दौरान यह भी सुनिश्चित कर दिया गया कि 800 न्यूटन के चारों थ्रोटल थ्रस्टर्स पावर डिसेंट के समय किसी भी चुनौती का सामना कर सकें। लैंडर मॉड्यूल इस ऑर्बिट में 4 दिन तक चंद्रमा की परिक्रमा करता रहा ताकि इसके सभी सब सिस्टम को पावर डिसेंट से पहले कार्यात्मक रूप से वेरीफाई और वैलिडेट किया जा सके। इस दौरान चंद्रयान-2 और लैंडर मॉड्यूल की आपस में बातचीत भी हो चुकी है। और संक्षेप में अब तक की यात्रा की बात करें तो लैंडर मॉड्यूल अब तक 21 बार पृथ्वी के और लगभग 120 बार चंद्रमा का चक्कर लगा चुका है और इस पूरी यात्रा में लगभग 55 लाख किलोमीटर की यात्रा भी पूरी कर चुका है। अब तक के इस पूरे अभियान में यह भी सुनिश्चित किया गया कि सारे ऑर्बिट मैन्यूवर्स इस प्रकार किए जाएं कि लैंडिंग साइट पावर डिसेंट की शुरुआत से ही लैंडर के ऑर्बिटल प्लेन में बना रहे।
Make it further that is true indeed. We have arrived at the crucial juncture wherein the orbit plane contains the desired landing site at the start of powered descent. We are also happy to announce that live images from the Chandrayaan-3 lander imager camera is being received continuously. The demonstration of soft landing on the moon's surface is no ordinary feat due to the innumerable challenges and complexities involved. The lander velocity has to be killed from nearly 6,048 kilometers per hour without any aid from the thin and tenuous moon's atmosphere. The lunar dust at the time of landing and the craters and boulders scattered over the moon's surface make it further complicated to achieve this. The new and improved Chandrayaan-3 design has been built after envisaging all the scenarios which the lander module can encounter. With several software improvements, provision for full-level redundancies, a plethora of special tests, namely the integrated hot test, integrated cold test, and lander leg drop tests were carried out for the lander module. The success of these tests has provided great confidence in the performance of all the onboard sensors, propulsion system, and associated guidance, control, and navigation algorithms. The key findings during the tests have enabled to improve the overall system performance. The largely unexplored south pole of the moon has been chosen as the intended landing site since there is a possibility of finding ice and other minerals which would be vital resources for future explorers. Apart from continuing investigations pioneered by Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2, the Chandrayaan-3 mission will also provide invaluable data to the science community around the world. Let us give our viewers a glimpse on the configuration of Chandrayaan-3 mission.
चंद्रयान-3 का मिशन प्लान लगभग चंद्रयान-2 के तरह ही बनाया गया है। यहाँ यह भी सुनिश्चित किया गया है कि चंद्रयान-3 को रॉकेट से अलग होने से लेकर के चंद्रमा के निकटतम कक्षा में स्थापित होने तक सारी गतिविधियाँ चंद्रयान-2 के तरह ही हों। और अब हम यह कह सकते हैं कि यह प्लान पूरी तरह से 100% सफल रहा। हालांकि लैंडर मॉड्यूल के सेंसर्स और प्रोपल्शन सिस्टम को इस तरह से मजबूत किया गया है कि लैंडर पावर डिसेंट के समय किसी भी आपदा से बाहर आकर के मिशन के मुख्य उद्देश्य को पूरा कर सके। इस क्रम में लैंडर के मुख्य सेंसर्स कारा, लासा, LHBC, LDV और LHDAC का कार्यात्मक परीक्षण भी किया जा चुका है। LDV जो कि पूर्णतः स्वदेशी तकनीकी से बनाया गया एक नया सेंसर है, इसका मुख्य कार्य लैंडर के वेलोसिटी को तीनों अक्षों में कंप्यूट करना है। पावर डिसेंट के दौरान लैंडर के सटीक पोजीशन और वेलोसिटी का ज्ञान होना बहुत ही आवश्यक है। लिराप यानी लेज़र इनर्शियल रिफरेंसिंग एंड एक्सीलरोमीटर पैकेज इस कार्य को पावर डिसेंट के दौरान बखूबी निभाएगा। ट्रैजेक्टरी जनरेशन जो कि चंद्रयान-3 मिशन के लिए बहुत ही अहम है, क्योंकि हर ऑर्बिट मैन्यूवर के बाद यह सुनिश्चित किया जाता है कि लैंडर की मिशन ऑब्जेक्टिव को ना बदलें। इस क्रम में मैं यह भी आपको बता दूं कि ऑर्बिट डिटर्मिनेशन जो कि उपग्रह के पोजीशन और वेलोसिटी को बहुत ही एक्यूरेटली बताता है, एक बहुत ही कठिन और जटिल कंप्यूटेशन और एस्टिमेशन होता है। यहाँ यह भी जानना महत्वपूर्ण है कि चंद्रयान-2 का OHRC पेलोड अब तक काफ़ी ऊंचे स्तर का डैम प्रदान किया है, जिसके फलस्वरूप लैंडिंग साइट के सीमा को बढ़ाकर 4x2.4 किलोमीटर कर दिया गया है, जो कि पावर डिसेंट के दौरान सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग कराने में काफ़ी सहायक सिद्ध होगा।
Apart from the sensors, Chandrayaan-3 is equipped with a suite of sophisticated payload instruments. While Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2 orbiter have provided abundant remote sensing data of Moon, equally important are the on-site localized measurements that provide ground truths. Lander and rover have payloads which are completely new and will perform in situ analysis of lunar surface. The two spectroscopes on rover, APXS and LIBS, will actively measure the surface elemental abundances at the landing location and surrounding area. The lander carries a seismometer ILSA that can sense impact events and lunar quakes. The thermal probe CHAST will measure the temperature profile and thermal conductivity of Moon's regolith. The Rambha payload will carry out lunar ionosphere studies, while the laser retroreflector array shall be a passive location indicator for future spacecraft equipped with laser altimeter. The propulsion module has not been left behind, and an experimental shape payload has been added to it as a value addition. It will help in understanding the nature and characteristics of water-rich planets and will also aid in the future study of potentially habitable exoplanets. We are minutes away from the start of powered descent. The entire powered descent shall be carried out by the onboard autonomous landing sequencer or ALS, which is a series of instructions preloaded to the lander module. These instructions include the commands to be executed, data to be collected and analyzed, and decisions to be made and executed autonomously throughout the powered descent.
जी हाँ, अब हम पावर डिसेंट के बहुत ही करीब आ चुके हैं। हम आपको बताते चलें कि पावर डिसेंट को कुल 4 चरणों में बांटा गया है। सबसे पहले आता है रफ ब्रेकिंग फेज, जिसमें लैंडर की ऊंचाई को चंद्रमा की सतह से 30 किलोमीटर से घटाकर 7.4 किलोमीटर कर दिया जाएगा। इस पूरी प्रक्रिया को पूरा करने में लगभग 11.5 मिनट लगेगा और इसका समानांतर वेग 1680 मीटर प्रति सेकंड से घटाकर 358 मीटर प्रति सेकंड हो जाएगा।
We have continuous flow of lander telemetry data from ISRO's Deep Space Network IDSN-32 located in Belalu, Bengaluru. The data is being acquired real-time by station and is flown to the Mission Operation Complex through our communication links. In addition to it, we also have support from ESA and JPL DSN stations. There will be no ground intervention once the ALS takes charge. The preparation for today's event had started 48 hours before, wherein various pre-selections and uplinking of parameters for the autonomous landing sequence were carried out. The whole descent is divided into 4 phases: the rough braking phase, the attitude hold phase, fine braking phase, and the local navigation phase or the terminal descent phase.
जी हाँ, एटीट्यूड होल्ड फेज, जो कि पावर डिसेंट का दूसरा चरण है, एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण फेज है। इस 10 सेकंड के स्मॉल ड्यूरेशन के दौरान लैंडर के 2 महत्वपूर्ण सेंसर कारा और लासा लैंडर की ऊंचाई की गणना करेंगे। इस फेज के पूरा होते ही लैंडर चंद्रमा के सतह से कुल 6.8 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई पर होगा।
During the rough braking phase, the lander velocity shall be brought down from 1,680 meters per second to 358 meters per second. The altitude will be brought down from 30 kilometers to 7.4 kilometers at the end of rough braking. Currently, we can see the scientists are analyzing the lander data.
जी हाँ, हम ये देख सकते हैं कि मिशन ऑपरेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स रूप में बैठे सभी वैज्ञानिक ये जो भी डेटा देख रहे हैं वो डीप स्पेस नेटवर्क IDSN 32 के द्वारा प्रोवाइड किया जा रहा है। और अगर हम अब बात करें पावर डिसेंट के तीसरे चरण का, जो कि फाइन ब्रेकिंग फेज होगा, जिसमें लैंडर लैंडिंग साइट से जस्ट 800 मीटर की ऊंचाई पर वर्टिकली होगा। इस चरण को पूरा होने में लगभग 3 मिनट लगेंगे और इस चरण के पूरा होते ही लैंडर की वेलोसिटी लगभग 0 हो जाएगी।
The scientists here at his track are glued to their systems, analyzing all sorts of complex data. We are very close to the powered descent, to the start of the powered descent phase.
जी हाँ, अगर हम अब बात करें पावर डिसेंट के चौथे और अंतिम चरण का, जो कि लोकल नेविगेशन फेज या टर्मिनल डिसेंट फेज भी कहा जाता है, इस दौरान लैंडर के 2 इंजन बंद कर दिए जाएंगे और लैंडर के सेंसरों द्वारा इसके हाइट और वेलोसिटी की गणना इनर्शियल नेविगेशन को भेज दिया जाएगा। इस दौरान लैंडर 150 मीटर की ऊंचाई को प्राप्त करने के बाद कुल 131 सेकंड लगाएगा। इस पड़ाव पे आने के बाद पुनः लैंडर 22 सेकंड के लिए हॉवरिंग करेगा। आप इस समय अपने स्क्रीन पे मिशन ऑपरेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स में बैठे सभी मान्यगणों को देख सकते हैं, जो कि बहुत ही उत्सुकता के साथ टेलीमेट्री डेटा को देख रहे हैं। अभी हम लोग पावर डिसेंट शुरू होने से जस्ट कुछ ही पल दूर हैं। पावर डिसेंट शुरू होने में लगभग 30 सेकंड ही बचा है और हमको ये सारे डेटा मिशन ऑपरेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स रूम में आईडीएसन 32 के द्वारा, जो कि लगातार लैंडर के कनेक्शन में बना हुआ है, प्रदान कर रहा है।
Dear viewers, the pivotal power descent has begun and the lander module is propelling towards the moon's surface along the intended trajectory.
जी हाँ, अब हम देख सकते हैं रफ ब्रेकिंग फेज की शुरुआत हो चुकी है।
During this rough braking phase, the lander velocity shall be brought down from 1,680 meters per second to 358 meters per second. The altitude will be brought down from 30 kilometers to 7.4 kilometers at the end of rough braking. All this in the duration of 690 seconds or 11.5 minutes. Currently, the Laser Inertial Reference and Accelerometer package, LIRAP, is aiding in the navigation.
जी हाँ, अभी आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर अब तक कुल 191 किलोमीटर हॉरिजेंटल दिशा में चल चुका है और अभी तक इसकी वेलोसिटी लगभग 31 किलोमीटर बनी हुई है।
The lander module has traveled a distance of approximately 228 kilometers. The complete downrange that will be traveled during this phase shall be nearly 713.5 kilometers.
जी हाँ, कुल 745 किलोमीटर के इस रफ ब्रेकिंग फेज में आप देख सकते हैं कि हम लोग लगभग अपनी यात्रा 20% कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं। पावर डिसेंट की यह शुरुआत हम कह सकते हैं कि बहुत ही सटीक और सधी हुई है, जिसमें लैंडर अपने वेगमान को अनुमानित तरीके से घटा रहा है।
The altitude of the lander module will reduce from 7.4 kilometers to 6.8 kilometers. During the next phase, which is going to be the attitude hold phase, we can currently see that the altitude of the lander module is nearly 31 kilometers.
आरुषि, अभी हम इस ग्राउंड रेस को देखते हुए कह सकते हैं कि रफ ब्रेकिंग फेज की शुरुआत बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से हुई है। आप ये देख सकती हैं कि जो भी प्रोजेक्टेड ग्राउंड रेस है, उसी पे अपना लैंडर मॉड्यूल आगे चलते हुए बढ़ रहा है। अभी तक ये देखा जा सकता है कि लैंडर मॉड्यूल लगभग 370 किलोमीटर क्षैतिज दिशा में चल चुका है।
The mission operations team is analyzing the data. We can all see the seriousness and the concentration with which each and every parameter of the lander module is being analyzed. The performance so far seems to be nominal.
जी आरुषि, चूंकि एएलएस एक्टिवेट किया जा चुका है, इसलिए ग्राउंड से कोई कमांडिंग नहीं की जा रही है। इस दौरान आपके स्क्रीन पे सारे डेटा इसरो के डीप स्पेस नेटवर्क से रियल टाइम में आ रहे हैं। इस मिशन में सेकेंड और थर्ड ऑर्डर गाइडेंस पॉलिनोमियल का प्रयोग हुआ है, जो कि इनर्शियल थ्रस्ट और एंगल के हमेशा सुनिश्चित करेगा।
During the entire descent, there is no ground intervention as the ALS has taken charge. The preparation for today's event had started nearly 48 hours before, wherein various pre-selections and uplinking of parameters were done. We can see that the vertical velocity of the lander module has been brought down. It is continuously coming down. And the ALS had already been initiated 1 hour before the scheduled time of the power descent start. Following this, the throttleable engine electronics module, the TECM, was switched on and lander was oriented to the favorable attitude.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर मॉड्यूल जिसकी शुरुआत में वेलोसिटी 1680 मीटर पर सेकंड थी, लगभग 1150 मीटर पर सेकंड हो चुकी है, जो कि एक बहुत ही मैजेस्टिक शुरुआत कही जा सकती है इस रफ ब्रेकिंग फेज के लिए। यहाँ पे मैं आपको ये भी बताते चलूँ कि आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि द लैंडर मॉड्यूल का आल्टीट्यूड धीरे धीरे अब कम होता हुआ दिख रहा है, और जो कि एक्सपेक्टेड भी है। अभी हम बात करें करंट आल्टीट्यूड की, तो जो कि 28.6 किलोमीटर के आसपास है।
आप स्क्रीन पर ये भी देख सकते हैं Chandrayaan-3 lander imager display. The lander imager is continuously taking photographs of the moon's surface, and that is also being streamed here. Currently, the horizontal velocity has been brought down, and the distance traveled is 574 kilometers. The current altitude is 27 kilometers, as can be seen on the screen.
जी हाँ, करीब अपने आधे सफ़र को पूरा करते हुए इस रफ ब्रेकिंग फेज में लैंडर बहुत ही आगे की तरफ बढ़ते हुए अपनी ऊंचाई को घटा रहा है। अगर अब बात करें तो लैंडर की ऊंचाई चंद्रमा के सतह से लगभग 27 किलोमीटर से नीचे हो चुकी है, करीब 26.7 किलोमीटर के आसपास है।
The next phase after the rough braking phase is the attitude hold phase, which will be for a duration of nearly 10 seconds. The lander will be oriented such that both the altimeters will be looking exactly towards the moon's surface. At the end of this attitude hold phase, height measurement update to navigation system will be given from the laser and car band altimeters. Currently, we are in the middle of the rough braking phase.
जी हाँ, अगर हम ध्यान से देखें तो लगभग 8 मिनट की यात्रा के बाद लैंडर अपनी हॉरिजेंटल वेलोसिटी को लगातार कम करते हुए अपनी ऊंचाई, अभी की ऊंचाई के समय 24 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्राप्त कर चुका है। अब तक के आंकड़े को देखते हुए हम कह सकते हैं कि लैंडिंग पूरी तरह से नॉमिनल है। यहाँ पर हम देख सकते हैं कि हॉरिजेंटल वेलोसिटी लगातार कम होती हुई दिख रही है। The altitude of lander from ground is currently 22 kilometer, which is again going to be coming down, and that is expected.
For the viewers who have joined now, we are in the power descent phase, and we are in the rough braking phase, which is the first phase of the power descent. We have currently traveled a downrange of 697 kilometers, and the downrange that has to be traveled during this phase is 713.5 kilometers.
जी हाँ, अभी आप देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर की हॉरिजेंटल वेलोसिटी लगभग 720 मीटर प्रति सेकंड हो गई है। लगभग हम ये कह सकते हैं कि 900 मीटर प्रति सेकंड वेलोसिटी को कम किया जा चुका है। At the same time, we can see the altitude of the lander is just 17.8 kilometer from the moon surface, which is going to be around 7.4 at the end of the rough braking phase.
इस फेज के बाद हम जाएंगे टुवर्ड्स द एटीट्यूड होल्ड फेज, where we will be expecting sensor update from the laser and car band altimeters. We can see the visualization of the lander module moving towards the moon's surface. The current altitude is nearly 15.2 kilometers and the distance traveled is 754 kilometers. We can also see the image that the lander imager camera has been providing.
जी हाँ, इस रफ ब्रेकिंग फेज के दौरान 800 न्यूटन के चारों थ्रोटल इंजन अपने कार्य को पूरी तरह से अंजाम दे रहे हैं और लैंडर के हॉरिजॉन्टल वेलोसिटी को लगातार कम कर रहे हैं। अब तक लैंडर लगभग अपने 75 से 80% की यात्रा को पूरा कर चुका है।
After the rough braking and the attitude hold phase, we shall be having the fine braking phase, which will continue for nearly 3 minutes. The whole phase is being driven by the autonomous landing sequencer and there is no intervention from ground.
जी हाँ आरुषि, अभी आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकती हैं कि जो करंट आल्टीट्यूड है चंद्रमा के सतह से लगभग 10 किलोमीटर के आसपास है। जी हाँ, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी हम सभी का उत्साहवर्धन करने के लिए दक्षिणी अफ्रीका के जोहानसबर्ग से जुड़ गए हैं।
Yes, we are privileged to have with us Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has joined us from South Africa's Johannesburg to encourage us.
जी हाँ, आप ये देख सकते हैं एटीट्यूड होल्ड फेस भी बहुत ही आसानी से लैंडर फेस ने पार कर लिया है और अब फाइन ब्रेकिंग की शुरुआत हो चुकी है। अभी हम ये देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर की ऊंचाई लगभग 5.6 किलोमीटर है, जो कि इस फेज के उपरांत लगभग 800 मीटर हो जाएगी।
We can hear from the mission operations team that the sensors are performing nominally. And we are currently in the midst of the fine braking phase, which is going to continue for 3 minutes. And the altitude is going to be reduced to nearly 800 meters at the end of this phase.
जी हाँ, जैसा कि आरुषि जी ने बताया कि लगभग 3 मिनट के उपरांत लैंडर की हाइट लगभग 800 मीटर वर्टिकली होगी और यहाँ पे लैंडर की हॉरिजॉन्टल वेलोसिटी, वर्टिकल वेलोसिटी, इवन डाउन रेंज भी लगभग शून्य होगा।
We can see the visual of the lander module and we can see that the down range traveled is nearly 831 kilometers.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर की ऊंचाई अब चंद्रमा के सतह से लगभग 3 किलोमीटर से कम हो चुकी है।
We are very close to the moon's surface, nearly 2.6 kilometers as we can see.
जी हाँ, अभी आप देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर की ऊंचाई लगभग 1 किलोमीटर के आसपास है।
We are nearing the final phase of the power descent, which is going to be the vertical descent phase or the local navigation phase.
जी हाँ, अब हम फाइन ब्रेकिंग वेव्स के एकदम करीब आ चुके हैं। हाँ, आप तालियों के गड़गड़ाहट से सुन सकते हैं कि हम लोगों ने तीसरे चरण को भी बहुत ही सफलतापूर्वक हासिल कर लिया है और अभी हम वर्टिकल डिसेंट फेज में आ चुके हैं, जिसकी शुरुआत भी बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से हो चुकी है।
Lot of applause indicates that till now the performance has been nominal. We are in the vertical descent phase 1. The altitude is being brought down from 800 meters and we are nearing and approaching the lunar surface.
जी, आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर का हाइट लगातार कम होता जा रहा है। इस समय हम लैंडिंग साइट के जस्ट ऊपर हैं और इस समय इसकी ऊंचाई लगभग 600 मीटर के आसपास है। इस फेज के दौरान लगभग 150 मीटर के ऊंचाई पे पहुंचने के बाद लैंडर अगेन लगभग 20 से 22 सेकंड के लिए हॉवरिंग करेगा।
We are above the landing site. The horizontal as well as the vertical velocity is now being constantly reduced. And the lander module has begun its descent towards the landing site.
जी हाँ, आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं ये जो पथ निर्धारित किया गया है, लैंडर पूरी तरह से उसी को ही फॉलो कर रहा है। इस समय हम लगभग 200 मीटर की हाइट से भी कम आ चुके हैं। अब हम ये देख सकते हैं कि हम लगभग 150 मीटर की ऊंचाई पे हैं चंद्रमा के सतह से।
We are approaching the vertical descent phase 2, which will have the lander module hovering at nearly 150 meters above the lunar surface.
जी हाँ, आप इस तालियों के गड़गड़ाहट को सुन सकते हैं, जो कि सेकंड हाइब्रिड फेज के कंप्लीट होने के बाद इन सारे वैज्ञानिकों के द्वारा की जा रही है। जी हाँ, आप अगर फिर से ध्यान से देखें तो एल्टीट्यूड पुनः कम होता जा रहा है। अभी हम लोग लगभग 135 मीटर की ऊंचाई पे हैं।
The sensors that are updating at this point are providing confirmation of the safety of the landing site.
As expected, the retargeting is going on and this is a very good signature for the lander. अभी आप ये देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर की ऊंचाई लगभग 65 मीटर के आसपास बची हुई है।
Currently, only 2 engines are now being fired, and we are nearly at zero velocity, vertical and horizontal. We were hovering, and now we are approaching the moon's surface.
धीरे धीरे लैंडर की वेगमान को कम किया जा रहा है और हम अब लगभग 50 मीटर से भी कम आ चुके हैं।
We can see the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who is here to encourage us, and he is critically looking at the visuals.
जी हाँ, आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल
people are applauding. Let
Lander
us all
module
wait
पूरी-
to hear from the Secretary Department of Space and Chairman ISRO, Shri S. Somnath.
लैंडर मॉड्यूल पूरी तरह से सेफली और सॉफ्टली चंद्रमा के सतह पे लैंड हो चुका है। ये हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही गर्व की बात है। हिंदी में एक कहावत है कि चंदा मामा दूर के, लेकिन अब हम ये कह सकते हैं कि चंदा मामा अपने घर के।
बहुत ही उम्दा. The hard work of the entire ISRO community has come to fruition.
आदरणीय आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, नमस्कार. Sir, we have achieved soft landing on the moon. India is on the moon. Sir, I request our Honorable Prime Minister to address us and bless us. Thank you, sir.
मेरे प्यारे परिवारजनों, जब हम अपनी आंखों के सामने ऐसा इतिहास बनते हुए देखते हैं तो जीवन धन्य हो जाता है। ऐसी ऐतिहासिक घटनाएं राष्ट्र जीवन की चिरंजीव चेतना बन जाती है। ये पल अविस्मरणीय है। ये क्षण अभूतपूर्व है। ये क्षण विकसित भारत के शंखनाद का है। ये क्षण नए भारत के जयघोष का है। ये क्षण मुश्किलों के महासागर को पार करने का है। ये क्षण जीत के चंद्र पथ पर चलने का है। ये क्षण 140 करोड़ धड़कनों के सामर्थ्य का है। ये क्षण भारत में नई ऊर्जा, नया विश्वास, नई चेतना का है। ये क्षण भारत के उदयमान भाग्य के आह्वान का है। अमृत काल की प्रथम प्रभा में सफलता की ये अमृत वर्षा हुई है। हमने धरती पर संकल्प लिया और चांद पर उसे साकार किया। और हमारे वैज्ञानिक साथियों ने भी कहा, इंडिया इज नाउ ऑन द मून। आज हम अंतरिक्ष में नए भारत की नई उड़ान के साक्षी बने हैं। साथियों, मैं इस समय ब्रिक्स समिट में हिस्सा लेने के लिए दक्षिण अफ्रीका में हूं, लेकिन हर देशवासी की तरह मेरा मन चंद्रयान महाअभियान पर भी लगा हुआ था। नया इतिहास बनते ही हर भारतीय जश्न में डूब गया है। हर घर में उत्सव शुरू हो गया है। हृदय से मैं भी अपने देशवासियों के साथ, अपने परिवारजनों के साथ इस उमंग और उल्लास से जुड़ा हुआ हूं। मैं टीम चंद्रयान को, इसरो को और देश के सभी वैज्ञानिकों को जी जान से बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, जिन्होंने इस पल के लिए वर्षों तक इतना परिश्रम किया है। उत्साह, उमंग, आनंद और भावुकता से भरे इस अद्भुत पल के लिए मैं 140 करोड़ देशवासियों को भी कोटि कोटि बधाइयां देता हूं। मेरे परिवारजनों, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों के परिश्रम और प्रतिभा से भारत चंद्रमा के उस दक्षिणी ध्रुव पर पहुंचा है जहां आज तक दुनिया का कोई भी देश नहीं पहुंच सका। अब आज के बाद से चांद से जुड़े मिथक बदल जाएंगे, कथानक भी बदल जाएंगे और नई पीढ़ी के लिए कहावतें भी बदल जाएगी। भारत में तो हम सभी लोग धरती को मां कहते हैं और चांद को मामा बुलाते हैं। कभी कहा जाता था चंदा मामा बहुत दूर के हैं, चंदा मामा बहुत दूर के हैं। अब एक दिन वो भी आएगा जब बच्चे कहा करेंगे चंदा मामा बस एक टूर के हैं। फ्रेंड्स, on this joyous occasion, I would like to address all the people of the world, the people of every country and region. India's successful moon mission is not just India's alone. This is a year in which the world is witnessing India's G20 presidency. Our approach of one earth, one family, one future is resonating across the globe. This human-centric approach that we present and that we represent has been welcomed universally. Our moon mission is also based on the same human-centric approach. Therefore, this success belongs to all of humanity, and it will help moon missions by other countries in the future. I am confident that all countries in the world, including those from the global south, are capable of achieving such feats. We can all aspire for the moon and beyond. मेरे परिवारजनों, चंद्रयान महाअभियान की ये उपलब्धि भारत की उड़ान को चंद्रमा की कक्षाओं से आगे जाएगी। हम हमारे सौर मंडल की सीमाओं का सामर्थ्य परखेंगे और मानव के लिए ब्रह्मांड की अनेक संभावनाओं को साकार करने के लिए भी जरूर काम करेंगे। हमने भविष्य के लिए कई बड़े और महत्वाकांक्षी लक्ष्य तय किए हैं। जल्द ही सूर्य के विस्तृत अध्ययन के लिए इसरो आदित्य L1 मिशन लॉन्च करने जा रहा है। इसके बाद शुक्र भी इसरो के लक्ष्यों में से एक है। गगनयान के जरिए देश अपने पहले ह्यूमन स्पेस फ्लाइट मिशन के लिए भी पूरी तैयारी के साथ जुटा है। भारत बार बार ये साबित कर रहा है कि स्काई इज नॉट द लिमिट। साथियों, साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी देश के उज्जवल भविष्य का आधार है। इसलिए आज के इस दिन को देश हमेशा हमेशा के लिए याद रखेगा। यह दिन हम सभी को एक उज्जवल भविष्य की ओर बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करेगा। ये दिन हमें अपने संकल्पों की सिद्धि का रास्ता दिखाएगा। ये दिन इस बात का प्रतीक है कि हार से सबक लेकर जीत कैसे हासिल की जाती है। एक बार फिर देश के सभी वैज्ञानिकों को बहुत बहुत बधाई और भविष्य के मिशन के लिए ढेरों शुभकामनाएं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Adranaya Pradhan Mantri ji, for being part of our journey to this success. And let me take this opportunity to thank the people behind this mission, the project director of Chandrayaan-3. He is here. Veera Muthuvel, congratulations to you. The associate project director, Kalpana, and the mission operations director, Srikanth. And the satellite was built at your house satellite center, Shankar, and the director.
It's a great moment of happiness on behalf of team. It gives me immense satisfaction on achieving this goal as a project director of this mission. The entire mission operations, right from launch till landing, happened flawlessly as per the timeline, and we became the 4th country to land to demonstrate the soft landing onto the moon surface, and we became the first country to go to near to the south pole of the moon. I take this opportunity to thank navigation, guidance and control team, propulsion team, sensors team, and all the mainframe subsystems team who have brought success to this mission. I also take the opportunity to thank the Critical Operations Review Committee for thoroughly reviewing the mission operations right from launch till this date. The target was on spot because of the review process. I also thank the ISRO higher management, right from Chairman ISRO, Director URSC, and all the center directors and higher ISRO officials. And finally, my thanks to the Chandrayaan-3 project executives spread across the ISRO centers. Thank you.
Mission Director Srikanth.
It gives me an immense pleasure to be part of Chandrayaan-3 and acting as Mission Director. I would like to thank each and every team member who has supported in carrying out all the mission operations flawlessly. And I would like to thank my senior management, Chairman ISRO, Director URSC, my senior colleagues and my team members for carrying out and supporting all the things carrying out in a proper way. Thank you very much.
Associate Project Director Kalpana.
Good evening to all. This will remain the most memorable and the happiest moment for all of us, for our team Chandrayaan-3. We have achieved our goal flawlessly. From the day we started rebuilding our spacecraft after Chandrayaan-2 experience, it has been breathe in, breathe out Chandrayaan-3 for our team. And starting from the reconfiguration to all the special tests and the simulations we have conducted meticulously. And this has been possible only because of our immense effort from our Chandrayaan-3 team. And of course, with the guidance from our chairman ISRO, our directors, and all our experts. With all this, it has been possible. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for all the minutest help which has been provided from all the areas of departments. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Chandrayaan-3 is a result of the work done by thousands of scientists, engineers, our staff, and industries, and support team across ISRO and other places, other institutions. And Shankaran has been the lead of the center which integrated all of these efforts in the last so many years. So I request him to speak on behalf of all of you.
Thank you very much for the affection that has been displayed today now. Today, we have achieved what we set out to achieve in 2019. It was delayed by about 4 years, but we have done it. When Chandrayaan-3 was launched, after the separation of the spacecraft from launch vehicle, I said, I will speak the rest of the things after the soft landing. So here I will take a couple of minutes to tell the tremendous amount of effort that has been put in by the entire project team. When I say project team, it is not just only the project director and associate project director. Of course, they are the face of the project. They have been living, sleeping, eating, breathing Chandrayaan for the last 4 years. They have been supported by such a large number of people, particularly in the navigation, guidance and control area, propulsion system. This area, the amount of effort that has been put by people, the number of simulations that have been done, the number of reviews they have gone through, the amount of criticism they faced and overcome that. It is, as a person who has been watching this for the last 4 years along with them, my heart goes out for them. The amount of effort is tremendous. That is what ISRO is all about. That is what our organization has taught us to do. Now today, this success has put us even more higher responsibility, as the Honorable Prime Minister was telling, because we have set the bar now so high. Nothing less spectacular than this is going to be inspiring for any of us in the future. So as the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, we will be now looking at putting the man in space, putting a spacecraft around Venus and landing a craft in Mars. Work on all these activities are going on for a few years. And this success today will inspire us and will spur us to take those efforts even more strongly so that we will make our country proud again and again and again. Thank you very much for every one of you who have directly or indirectly participated in this mission, encouraged us, intentionally or unintentionally helped us in all for every one of you. A big thank you, because even casual remark, an unintended point can help a person who is striving to reach a goal. The person who is making that remark may not have meant it that way, but sometimes it can ignite that's why I said that even unintended help is very, very, very welcome, and we are very, very thankful for that. Thank you, Team ISRO, for supporting all of us. The amount of affection we received when this mission came into this final stage, the number of people who gave us confidence that nothing can go wrong and this is going to be successful. In fact, I was not that much confident because we have seen a couple of times issues. Because I know very well as a person who has been doing in this domain for 36 years, I know there are thousands of things. Any of that can anytime go wrong and derail. But so many of the people, because that I only see as the reflection of the effort we have put, that people are so happy to see this effort and they want us to succeed. It is not that they know that we are going to succeed. The people want us to succeed. So thank you very much for everyone for your love and affection. We will continue to do our best and make our flag fly, ISRO's as well as India's flag fly high. Thank you very much.
Honorable Prime Minister called me and conveyed his greetings to each one of you and your family for the wonderful work you did in ISRO. So thanks are to him for the support that he is giving to us for missions like Chandrayaan-3 and the missions that are in the offing. I think that's a great word of comfort that we are receiving for pursuing the inspirational work that we are doing for the nation. I want to tell you, and I want to thank you also for each and everyone who prayed with us in the last many days, who wanted this success to happen in ISRO. I thank all those people all around the country and maybe beyond the country for their blessings and wishes and affection that he has given to each one of us for doing this work for the last so many years. I want to specifically thank some senior people who have been standing with us, especially the name of Kiran Kumar sir and Mr. Kamalakar, Sri Koteshwar Rao. They have been helping so much. They were part of the team to help them to get the confidence and get the reviews done to ensure that nothing goes with any mistakes. And of course, this is not the work of us alone. This is a work of a generation of ISRO leadership and ISRO scientists. And this is a journey we started in Chandrayaan-1, continued in Chandrayaan-2, and Chandrayaan-2 craft is still working and doing a lot of communication work with us. And all the team that contributed to building Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2 should be remembered and thanked while we celebrate Chandrayaan-3. And this is an incremental progress and definitely a great, huge one it is. And thank you so much for all the support and work that you have done. Thank you.
कब तक बॉस को बटर करेगा? एमबीए की मस्त डिग्री होगी ना तो बॉस से भी आगे निकलेगी। तो फटाफट जैन ऑनलाइन पर रजिस्टर कर लो, बाकी मैंने सब चेक कर लिया।
कई इम्प्रूवमेंट किया है इसी बार चंद्रयान 2 से 3 तक हमारे लैंडिंग का स्पीड अधिक 2 मीटर पर सेकंड से 3 मीटर पर सेकंड तक आए तो भी क्रैशिंग नहीं होगा। हमारे एनर्जी अब्सॉर्प्शन कैपेबिलिटी तो इंक्रीज किया है। दूसरा है हमारे प्रोपल्शन क्वांटिटी है, 2 प्रोपेलेंट है, ईंधन है, उसका क्वांटिटी हमने बढ़ा किया है। दूसरा है हमारा पावर जनरेशन जो कैपेबिलिटी है, सोलर पैनल का साइज है, उसका साइड्स भी है, अगला साइड्स में जुड़ा है और पावर जनरेशन कैपेबिलिटी अधिक किया। अब जो नई इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स उनमें जुड़ा है तो हमारे स्पीड मेजरमेंट के लिए लेजर डॉपलर वेलोसिमीटर इसका नाम है, हमने ये डेवलप किया लास्ट ईयर, हमने डेवलप किया इसरो में, उसमें जुड़ा है। और सॉफ्टवेयर की स्ट्रेंथन किया है, कई सिमुलेशन टेस्ट बेड में टेस्ट किया है। ये सब करके हम इसी बार जाते हैं।
एस सोमनाथ का आत्मविश्वास और जोश ये बताने के लिए काफी है कि इस बार इसरो ने हर तरह की जोखिम से निपटने के लिए तैयारी की है। इस बार लैंडिंग के मामले में चंद्रयान 2 जैसी नाकामी हाथ लगने का कोई सवाल नहीं है। 6 सितंबर 2019 की रात को 1:51 का यही वो वक्त था जब चंद्रयान 2 का लैंडर विक्रम चांद की सतह के एकदम करीब था। विक्रम चांद की सतह से महज 300 मीटर दूर था तब इसरो के मिशन कंट्रोल रूम में तनाव बढ़ चुका था। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी भी वहां मौजूद थे। वो तनाव में दिख रहे थे। गाल एक हथेली पर टिका हुआ था और निगाहें स्क्रीन पर। एक वैज्ञानिक पीएम मोदी को जो कुछ भी हो रहा था उसके बारे में ब्रीफ कर रहे थे। 1:57 हो चुके थे। तभी इसरो के तत्कालीन चीफ के सिवन प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के पास आए और उन्हें कुछ बताने लगे, फिर अपनी सीट की तरफ लौट गए। इसके बाद माइक पर सिवन ने सबसे मुश्किल अनाउंसमेंट किया। उन्होंने बताया कि लैंडर विक्रम जब चांद की सतह से 2.1 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर था तब ग्राउंड स्टेशन से उसका संपर्क टूट गया।
Vikram lander descent was as planned and normal performance was observed up to an altitude of 2.1 kilometer. Subsequently, the communications from the lander to ground station was lost. The data is being analyzed.
चंद्रयान 2 नाकाम मिशन नहीं था। उसने सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग छोड़कर अपने ज्यादातर लक्ष्य पूरे किए थे। इसलिए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने वैज्ञानिकों से निराश ना होने को कहा था।
देखिए, जीवन में उतार चढ़ाव आते रहते हैं और जब मैं देख रहा था कि अब कम्युनिकेशन ऑफ हो गया है तो मैं देख रहा था आपके सारे चेहरे एकदम से हो गए। लेकिन ये कोई छोटा अचीवमेंट नहीं है जो आप लोगों ने किया। आगे भी हमारी यात्रा जारी रहेगी और मैं पूरी तरह आपके साथ हूं। हिम्मत के साथ चलें और आप ही के पुरुषार्थ से फिर से देश खुशी बनाने लग जाएगा, मुझे विश्वास है। विश ऑल द बेस्ट। थैंक यू।
इसके बाद वो तस्वीर भी सामने आई थी जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने के सिवन को गले लगाकर उन्हें ढांढस बंधाया था। उम्मीद थी कि हम चांद पर उतरने का अगला प्रयास फिर करेंगे। पिछले 4 साल में इसरो ने कड़ी मेहनत की है। चंद्रयान 2 मिशन की कमियों को दूर किया है और इस बार चांद पर उतरने के बाद होने वाले महत्वाकांक्षी प्रयोगों की योजना तैयार की है।
एक्सपेरिमेंट ऐसा है कि हमारा एक रगोलित है, उसका नाम है जो सरफस है चंदा मामा के को रगोलित कहते हैं। उसमें क्या किससे बनाया है, क्या डस्ट है, क्या एलिमेंटल कॉम्पोजिशन है, इसके पता ना है। उसको समझने के लिए हम ये लेजर उसमें उससे गैस निकलेगा, मिल्क करेगा। सो इस गैस को हम स्पेक्ट्रोस्कोपी करेगा, उसके स्पेक्ट्रोस्कोपी से एलिमेंटल कॉम्पोजिशन के बारे में हमको जानकारी होगा। और एक एक्सपेरिमेंट है अल्फा पार्टिकल एमिटर से।
चंद्रयान-3 का अभियान न केवल भारत के लिए बल्कि पूरी दुनिया के वैज्ञानिक समुदाय के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है। लैंडर चांद की उस सतह पर जाएगा जिसके बारे में अब तक कोई जानकारी मौजूद नहीं है। लिहाजा इस अभियान से हमारी धरती के एकमात्र प्राकृतिक उपग्रह चांद के विषय में जानकारी और बढ़ेगी। इसरो के इन प्रयोगों की कामयाबी निश्चित तौर पर अंतरिक्ष में भारत की सफलता का नया इतिहास लिखेगी, लेकिन इसरो आगे भी नया इतिहास लिखने को तैयार है। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी का सपना है कि भारत स्पेस तकनीक की सुपर पावर बने। लिहाजा चंद्रयान-3 मिशन के बाद इसरो अंतरिक्ष में स्वदेशी तकनीक से मानव मिशन भेजने की तैयारी कर रहा है, जिसे गगनयान नाम दिया गया है।
हमने सपना देखा है, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने सपना देखा है, हमारे देश ने संकल्प किया है कि 2022 जब आजादी के 75 साल होंगे, तब मां भारत का कोई संतान, चाहे बेटा हो या बेटी, कोई भी हो सकता है, वे अंतरिक्ष में जाएंगे।
उम्मीद जताई जा रही है कि 2024 के अंत में इसरो का HLVM-3 रॉकेट किसी भारतीय को अंतरिक्ष के सफर पर ले जाएगा। चंद्रयान से लेकर गगनयान तक के ये मिशन भारत के अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम की उस कहानी को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं जो बैलगाड़ी और साइकिल के सफर से शुरू हुई थी। आजादी के करीब 16 साल बाद ही ये सफर शुरू हो गया था। पहले रॉकेट को साइकिल पर लादकर प्रक्षेपण स्थल पर ले जाया गया था। दूसरा रॉकेट काफी बड़ा और भारी था, जिसे बैलगाड़ी के सहारे प्रक्षेपण स्थल पर ले जाया गया था। और उन्हें सफलता तब मिली जब भारत ने थुम्बा में 21 नवंबर 1963 में अपना पहला साउंडिंग रॉकेट लॉन्च किया। इसके बाद 19 अप्रैल 1975 को भारत ने सोवियत संघ के रॉकेट की मदद से अपने पहले उपग्रह आर्यभट्ट को लॉन्च किया था। ये सफर आगे बढ़ते हुए चांद पर पहले लैंडर मिशन तक पहुंच चुका है। इंतजार है तो बस चंद दिनों का, जब 14 जुलाई को चंद्रयान-3 मिशन लॉन्च होगा।
अमृतस्य पुत्र, हम अमृत की संतान हैं, जिसके साथ अमरत्व जुड़ा हुआ होता है।
1-0.
The fact that they would even consider doing round tripping, where, defined as we invest in this company, that company buys compute from us, so the money goes into their bank account and then comes back to our bank account, even if it's not part of the deal. Yeah, that's fugazi. It's like something's wrong there.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Embroker's Startup Insurance Program helps startups secure the most important types of insurance at a lower cost and with less hassle. Save up to 20% off of traditional insurance today at embroker.com/twist. While you're there, get an extra 10% off using offer code TWIST. Masterclass. Learn from the world's best minds. Anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. Get 15% off an annual membership to Masterclass at masterclass.com/startups. And Roots. Invest in the only real estate investment trust that creates wealth for you and its residents at investwithroots.com/twist.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to This Week in Startups. It's Monday. So Sandeep Madra is with us from Definitive Intelligence, and we are going to break down everything that happened in AI over the past week and what we're going to see this week going forward. This AI thing never stops. NVIDIA's reporting their earnings. That's going to be a blowout, it seems. They just keep selling more and more of this hardware. But I was thinking about NVIDIA specifically, and I was wondering, and I wanted to ask you, if they are going to have a durable franchise similar to, and a monopoly is really what I'm saying by durable franchise. I don't want Lena Khan to get in here. So Lina Khan translation, monopoly. Are they going to have a monopoly in this space on building AI supercomputers, to just use an incorrect term here? Or is their margin and their revenue and customers going to inspire all the other people making chips and platforms to go get it? What do you think? Because Google became an enduring franchise with 90% market share in search and search advertising. And then you look at Apple. Didn't think that's kind of a duopoly, people say, but if you look at the actual revenue and profits, Androids make no profit.
Yep.
90%, I think, of the profits from smartphones go to Apple. So it's essentially a de facto monopoly. What do you think? NVIDIA, is it a monopoly, or is it a at-risk franchise?
It's the latter. And look, I don't want to call it at risk. I think NVIDIA is going to have an incredible business. But, you know, the reason we're seeing this explosion today is a function of, there are way more demand than supply of NVIDIA chips. Secondly, what really leads to that is the tools and frameworks that exist for, at-scale training and at-scale inference are primarily built around the NVIDIA infrastructure. But we're already starting to see that break. Karpathy had a really, really awesome tweet last week where he did a bunch of inference on his MacBook. And what we're going to see is the frameworks adapt in a couple of different ways. One, for at-scale training, we'll see frameworks start to pop up that can be used on, other silicon. That's already going to start to happen. The NVIDIA one is leading, CUDA, I believe, right? But others are going to get there really, really fast. I also think what we're going to see is inference move to different workloads. In fact, there's here you go, right? So he was running 16 tokens a second on his MacBook, right? And so, and you can, he kind of maps out the difference and where things are going to go and everything else. And so,
take a look at this chart. Can you explain this chart to the listeners? It's looks like there's a bunch of red dots, a bunch of blue dots, and an average line going up. But what is this chart explaining to us?
Yeah, basically it's showing flops, right? Which is like operations per second, right? And correlated against like memory bandwidth in this particular case. And what it's showing is that, obviously NVIDIA is the clear leader and top into the right in this chart at, A100, which is kind of, they're world class. But what you can see on the right-hand side in terms of like memory bandwidth and cost, right? And you know how much these things cost. So if you just scroll, if you can just scroll the thing on the right-hand side right there. Yeah, exactly. I'll just down a bit right there.
Time is on the bottom axis, and then the up and down axis is
scaling. Yeah, it's like just normalized scaling. Exactly, right? And so what you can see here is, the memory bandwidth and the flops out of an A100, but then a MacBook M2, which is just a commercial CPU, on your
I got my
device.
MacBook Air, which is the greatest laptop ever made.
Yeah.
I literally bought it. The second I started using it, it was so good. It was better than my M1 MacBook Pro, and I had the giant one, but it was so heavy. And I just gave that to my assistant, and then I literally went and bought my wife one because they're so great.
Yeah. And what's the interesting thing here is when you're taking on this category of problems, there's two things you have to think about, which is compute and memory bandwidth. And what he specifically calls out here is, although the compute is 200x more, which you think is a problem. I'll explain why it's not. The memory bandwidth is only 20x more. So it's, sort of within an order of magnitude. And you can scale compute by just going broad, by pushing the problem out to more and more devices, like sort of like a SETI at home type thing.
You could have 10 laptops, and then this would go down.
Exactly. Memory bandwidth, you can't scale that way because memory bandwidth needs to be, the memory needs to be very close to the CPU, right? And so you probably remember this from your days of building machines.
Yeah, sure.
But the fact that you can see that one is within an order of magnitude and the other is like 2 orders of magnitude, but it's solvable, I think we're going to see solutions to this problem very, very quickly.
Right. So, and this is what people have been doing since the beginning of server farms, which is throw hardware at it. If, one chip can't do it, well, what if I had 5 chips? And that's what I think we're going to see. And also, what jobs are you doing? It might turn out that 90% of work, it doesn't matter if it takes 1 second or 10 seconds or 1 second or even 200 seconds. If I'm building a model and I want to refresh it every hour and it takes 200 minutes, I could have a rolling refresh going on, and taking the new data and what's that going to cost me? So it's amazing that we're even talking about silicon right now in 2023, but we do see this happen every decade or two. something, bandwidth gets clogged because movies come to the internet, or here, language models cripple compute power or outstrip compute power. It's great. People have been looking for ways to leverage the amount of bandwidth we have and to leverage the amount of CPU we have. It used to be like only people who could really use up the CPU were people using video games, or like Pixar making movies. A person doing, email, surfing the web can't even use a fraction of what's happening on your laptop.
Yeah.
So much so that those chips were designed in large part to increase battery life. That's how little compute mattered to the average user, that battery life was a more important metric. You literally come into the store and they tell you 20 hours of battery life. You're more interested in that than you are in the memory and the CPU. 99 out of 100 cases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if video editing will work. Nick, will video editing work on the Apple MacBook Air M2 with a lot of memory in it? Or
yes, absolutely.
An SSD drive?
Yes.
So this idea that people would buy that Mac Pro Studio for $5 or $6 grand, or the Mac Pro Tower for 10 grand, what video editing difference would you see between a MacBook?
Like iMacs, faster rendering of like large, massive files, IMAX, 4K stuff.
So if you're editing this pod or you're editing all in, when you hit the export button, the difference would be 1 minute versus 10?
No, probably
10 versus 20?
Probably 10 versus 20, 25. I think it'll double the time.
Got it.
Yeah. And we've already seen that from the, I'd say the 2018, 2019 MacBook. The show is exporting 2 times as fast from there, maybe faster.
How long does it take to export an hour or 2 hour show? I'm curious.
Our show is about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how much like graphical stuff.
More than I would think. Yeah. Wow. It's actually more than I thought it would take.
For video, for audio, it takes about, a minute.
10 seconds. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I wonder when video is going to catch up here. And I wonder what the fastest you could do if you spend $10,000 or $20,000 on a computer. Could you get it done in 1 minute or no?
Yeah, well, it depends on the compression. So we compress the video pretty heavily so people can download it on Spotify, right? So the more compression you're using, the longer it typically takes. If you're using a pretty light compression, it'll be a larger file, but it'll be quicker.
It's very interesting. The three things that are CPU heavy right now in the world: video games, and language models.
Yeah, those are GPU heavy, specific, not CPU.
They're GPU heavy. Yeah. When I say CPU and GPU, I just think we should put it all into the bucket of compute now, right?
It's trending in that direction. Yeah, I think calling them GPUs is like confusing at this point because they're used like we're not using them for graphics. Right? We're using them for matrix math.
Listen, I work with super early stage companies at launch, like literally year zero. They haven't even incorporated yet. And then we hit the Series A. People have thousands of dollars in MRR, and maybe they've only raised a couple of $100,000 before that Series A, and they don't have their insurance set up. And in fact, we recently had a great startup that didn't have D&O, and we had to really stop everything because they were having board meetings. They were making massive decisions. There were legal issues. And they didn't have the basic D&O insurance that protects directors and officers. So we sent them right to Embroker. Embroker is business insurance built specifically for startups. A single application will help your startup get 4 quotes for 4 lines of coverage in 15 minutes. Think about that. 4 quotes, 4 lines, 15 minutes. And they're going to connect you with one of their expert brokers for unmatched service that goes beyond your policy. We use it at launch. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It's easy breezy. What more do I need to tell you? I use it. I love it. A lot of our startups use it. They love it. Try Embroker today with the code TWIST, and you'll get 10% off their startup package. Embroker.com/twist. That's EMBROKER.com/twist. And use the code TWIST for 10% off. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. All right, well, listen, NVIDIA's price targets just keeps going up. People saying $800, $780. It's nuts.
The warning I will say here on this one, Jay Kells, if you remember the late 90s, there was a boom in optical or networking chips, let's put it that way. And I started my career in that space. And what happened was, there was a category of companies, like one specific one, maybe a bunch of folks that are, from that generation will remember, called JDS Uniphase. I don't know if you remember it, but it was like one that made like optical transceivers for, fiber optics. And what ended up happening is when they couldn't meet supply, you'd have to basically, if you wanted like 500 transceivers, you have to order like 5,000 from them and you'd get 500. So that, their stock went through the roof because it had this huge, deluge of orders. And and then ultimately the orders get fulfilled. And then, Cisco in early or 2001 or two, they basically all that supply showed up, and then had to write down like $5 billion of inventory because they bought way too much. And so one of the things I fear in this era right now is there's this mad grab, and everyone is going to everyone asking for compute. And so there's, there's a weird dynamic, and you've talked about it before, where there's companies doing these like weird trades of like, take an investment from us, but use our, exactly. And, sometimes I fear that there's a lot more kind of artificial demand than actual demand created through a lot of these deals that are out there. So I just say, look, NVIDIA is an incredible company. They're doing great, but the demand may not be as big as we think it is. But
I'm not J trading it. I'm not J trading it.
Yeah.
I'd rather J trade the folks that people think NVIDIA is going to run over, but that have great management teams. So if TSMC or Intel or AMD think they're going to make progress in this area, or Intel, I don't know, who are leading candidates or new companies, I would rather make the bet on those which are undervalued right now, but that have great management teams and great revenue and reasonable PEs, because when you're investing in companies, your entry price and the valuation matters. The PE of NVIDIA right now is like 230, 240, depending on the day, which is crazy. Like high growth companies are typically 30 PE ratio. So be careful, folks. Be careful out there. I really do like your insight, though, about the bulk ordering and the shenanigans going on with the round tripping. Potentially, I'm going to put the word potentially in there. I don't want to insinuate that people are breaking any laws here, but the fact that they would even consider doing round tripping, where, defined as we invest in this company, that company buys compute from us, so the money goes into their bank account and then comes back to our bank account, even if it's not part of the deal. Yeah, that's fugazi. It's like something's wrong there.
Jason, can I ask a theoretical question for you about the
Yes, you may, producer Nick.
NVIDIA thesis. So AMD is up 68% year to date. Intel is up 22% year to date, sort of on the entire broad spectrum float of the AI market, right?
And the market returning.
And
so
the market returning as well. Yeah. Do you think that that should eliminate them from a J trade just due to them being sort of kind of already a little bit more overvalued than they would have been otherwise?
I feel like the whole market's gotten a little bit ahead of itself. Those names could also have gotten ahead of themselves. And I think you'd have to sharpen your pencil in that analysis. Look at the price earnings ratio, look at the growth, and then look at the product roadmap. And do you trust that management team? How long have they been working together? And the management team matters. Say what you will about Dara. He's no TK. I would rather Travis be running the company, obviously. I think the company would have a greater stock price if he was. But, he did get it to profitability. He did create stability. And it would have been just two different looking companies. One would have been Amazon under Bezos, and one would have been, Amazon under Andy Jassy. And I think, a professional operator versus a visionary. So you get two different valuations there. So yeah, I would sharpen your pencils and look at it. How long the management team's been working together, product roadmap, customers buying stuff, and then what's the financial fundamentals.
Yeah. But on the flip side, Jensen and team have done a great job.
You can't take anything away from Jensen and the products they've made. I watched them go from being like this, dorky video game to dorky crypto to like, what's the point of all this? I thought for sure with the crypto collapse, like that company was toast. And then you look at all of a sudden this customer base that has more money than they know what to do with. Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and then the investment community. And listen, even sovereign wealth funds. The UAE and Abu Dhabi are making their own Falcon language models. The Saudis supposedly stopped buying Ferraris and yachts, and now they're stocking up on H100s, like literally. And Martin Shkreli's wears an H100 around his neck with a gold chain. I mean, this has become a status symbol, H100s.
And just this morning, the UK Prime Minister said they are investing £100 million into NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel compute.
Oh, interesting.
Hardware.
Fantastic. Okay. So there's the ground. There's your fundamentals as, how the industry is growing. This is not a drill. All this compute, I believe, is going to get used. Maybe people are overpaying for it. Maybe they'll have extra capacity. Who knows? But, there are a lot of jobs going to these servers. So let's talk about how this infrastructure is getting leveraged. What do you got for demo? It's demo time, everybody. Type in This Week in Startups on YouTube and go subscribe to the channel. Hit the alert bell. You get alerts when we post a new episode.
Awesome. So one of the themes I'm just trying to build on here is the evolution and usability of these models. And, even just in the short while that we've been doing, AI demos, we're starting to see like an evolution and advancement in that place. And so the latest one here, Jason, is one where it's called Rask.ai. And what they make it's basically a GUI interface to convert models from one language to another language. And so I'll play the original.
Sony, I created like a strung together clip of these if you want me to share it and play it.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Please.
Right, cool.
Let's really do that.
All right, so you got a WYSIWYG interface. Anybody can do it. The URL is once more?
Rask.ai.
What's the URL of this?
RASK.
Rask.ai.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
terrible
super
name,
straightforward. Okay. You basically, here we go.
Pay $100 a month. Here you go. All right. So here's a picture of me in a TikTok vertical format making a comment about something. So let's play me talking.
The thing I love most about this is like we have this Oppenheimer film comes out, all of this energy at the same time of people who are just really stoked to do material science, to do basic science, to figure out big problems.
This is Jason in Spanish and Español.
Okay, here we go. En español.
Lo que más me gusta de esto es como tenemos esta película de Oppenheimer, sale toda esta energía al mismo tiempo de personas que están realmente entusiasmados para hacer ciencia de los materiales, para hacer ciencia básica, para resolver grandes problemas.
And this is Jason in Hindi.
Oh, I was waiting for this. Hindi.
इसके बारे में जो बात मुझे सबसे अधिक पसंद है वह यह है कि ओपेनहाइमर की यह फिल्म एक ही समय में सारी ऊर्जा बाहर लाती है। ऐसे लोग जो वास्तव में बड़ी समस्याओं का पता लगाने के लिए भौतिक विज्ञान से लेकर बुनियादी विज्ञान तक के लिए उत्साहित हैं।
So, the question here is, do I start doing this as a business, opening up a YouTube channel on YouTube Espanol? I think there is a separate login and everything.
Yes, or something, yeah. Okay.
Yes, whatever. Do I take the time to do that, translate all this, do the expense, post it, and hope that a business emerges and that an audience emerges? Or do I just wait another 2 years before every video on YouTube, just like it has captions, is going to have the ability to dub it? Because that's what's going to happen, isn't it? These tools exist now.
Yeah. One is about capturing the audience today. If you are trying to grow your audience as a creator, these were barriers to that. And I think even Mr. Beast, right? Jimmy talks about one of the things that was frustrating for them is people were ripping off his videos and just dubbing them and re-uploading them and, profiting to it. And so now you can, Jimmy now has large infrastructure, but, you can think about it if you're a solopreneur or a small company and you want to get your word out there, or you're a creator. Think about it, I did 4 of those in 4 different languages. I didn't even send the Greek. I did Greek as well. And just paying, homage to your history, J. Cal. And I did them in a minute each. And that goes to, combining the conversation before, the speed, the UI, how fast everything's evolving. It's incredible.
Do we have a clip of Mr. Beast in another language? Is he actually doing that?
He's doing that now officially.
I wonder if he's doing it with AI or he's hiring people to dub. Because at his level, he could just hire people to dub it and just give him $1,000 to be his voice or whatever. Or a production company probably costs, I would say costs about $1,000,
he talked
$2,000
about
a
this
video.
in the Samir and Colin pod. There's some places where he's got hired actors that he actually went and met with. So he talked about the whole experience, and it's weird because he's used to listening to them. And then, that's their primary in the bigger markets. And then the other ones, they're starting to leverage AI.
Great. Yeah. I mean, this is something I've been thinking about. You have to look and be cutthroat about your time and your effort. Would this be a good use of our time? Well, we're not investing in companies, in other non-English speaking countries right now because we don't know how to invest in those countries as well as the domestic folks, right? So China, India, Japan, we're going to be we're going to get our butts kicked by the investors there who understand culture, understand regulation, understand founders, understand society, and the products and the history of the products going to market there. We'll never compete. So, I would be afraid almost to put This Week in Startups in Japanese and have too many Japanese founders contacting me because I can't work in Japan right now. I don't have the infrastructure set up there. So while this is great that it's happening, I wonder about, the scale you need to have. Now, if you're Uber or Airbnb and you want to do an update to all your hosts and you've got some new regulations or something, or you just want to have the CEO, give an inspirational message or do a Q&A, man, this would be incredible to just do a quick, get it out to your host in every language, in every country you operate in. So I see a very big corporate value here.
But on the first one, I'll disagree with you a little bit, J. Cal, because think about, Twitter now does the creator payments. And if all you're doing is English, the only thing you can get paid in is English, right? Because you're kind of lose out on everybody else from all those languages. And so, and I saw you posted something about a creator payment you got. And
yeah, it's weird. I didn't even know I was in the program. I guess they selected some folks.
Yeah, you have some friends there. I don't know.
I met somebody who works there. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Employee.
So yeah, I mean, so I guess your point is free money. Why wouldn't you pick up the free money laying all over the ground? And I do think that there's a possibility of that. And so the question is, how much would this cost to do an hour? Because when I got quoted this, doing an hour of my podcast, I think it was $500 to $1,000 to use actors to dub it. And then I think the AI people were like, it was $100 or $200 an hour to do this. I wonder what they're at now, which means it's going to be $1 next year.
So what they've gone to here is what it looks like is about $100 for 100 minutes a month is what they're asking for, and then $1 a minute.
So $1 a minute means 75-minute podcast is $75. Not bad. But that's per language.
That's
so that
about
means,
what it costs to transcribe a podcast before all the new tools, by the way. Like 5 years ago, the best transcriptions were about $1 a minute.
If you wanted to do a transcription out of Manila with somebody with English as a second language who doesn't understand, the names or the organizations you're talking about and will have some mistakes in it, a raw transcript, in other words, it was $1 a minute. Then it became free on YouTube. They got there first. Now, if you use Temi, Otter, or Descript, it's free and included, Nick?
It's part of the subscription the standard subscription package, basically, for Descript. Yeah, and they're incredibly fast.
You get some number of minutes.
Yeah,
they do have a cap on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we pay like $120 a month for all-in features, and there's like no cap. Yeah.
Incredible.
Do you want to see, by the way, the Mr. Beast dubbing feature? It's pretty impressive. I just looked it up.
Yeah, let's see Mr. Beast dub. Yeah.
It looks like YouTube is testing with a couple of thousand creators. I believe you have to upload your own dubs. I'm not sure if Mr. Beast uses AI for it, but let me know if you could just hear this in English.
The latest video is a great one.
You have 30 seconds to get across these 3 hurdles.
Can you guys hear that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You have 30 seconds to get across these 3 hurdles.
It's pretty impressive. YouTube in the settings tab has a audio track dub, and you could switch from English to Spanish to Vietnamese to French.
Just like Netflix.
Yeah. This is the French. Vietnamese.
No, that's a human.
Yeah, totally.
Wait a second. They have humans doing this?
Well, like I said,
that doesn't sound like a computer.
No. So I listened to, like I said, a Colin and Samir podcast where he talked about that for these main languages, because he went and met these folks that do it, and not only for him, but for his co-hosts, right? So they've got characters that act as all of them.
Yeah. But Google is abstracting this for the top level creators, which makes sense because Google wants to grow in those markets. So why not take the top 10 creators and then offer this for free for them? Probably costs them, and so that means Google is hiring voice actors to do this or outsourcing it to some third party company to do it. It's pretty crazy when you think about it.
Or Mr. Beast uploaded his dub. Mr. Beast uploaded his dub.
Yeah, it looks like they're
I see.
the
So they put it on
creators
Mr.
themselves
Beast. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Got it. So that would be the equivalent of like Netflix, buying a movie from, an independent studio, and then the studio has dubbed it and they put it up there. And then when it gets bought by, whatever, some other regions, the Chinese version of Netflix, they can upload those same dubs there. Brilliant.
We all have self-doubt. I can promise you, if there's 100 people in a room, 100 people have some level of insecurity. You can't have any self-doubt about your commitment and conviction to do this. You might have self-doubt about your ability to succeed, to raise the money, to attract the right people. Those are 2 different issues.
What an incredible clip. Self-doubt. We all have it as founders, as human beings. And the voice you just heard, one of my favorite business leaders. I've been trying to get him on This Week in Startups forever. Somebody help me out here. Starbucks CEO, Howard Schultz. Now, I may not have gotten Howard Schultz to come on This Week in Startups, but you know who did get him? Masterclass. And all of the lessons he learned are sitting there waiting for you at Masterclass. In addition, you can get Chris Voss on negotiations, Kim Scott, friend of the pod, on radical candor, Bob Iger on leadership, and so many more. Think about if you get one insight, just one, and it changes the course of your startup, your life, your career. I bet you there's 10 incredible insights that will change your life in each course. All of these legends are sitting there. Gordon Ramsay on cooking, Serena Williams on tennis, Steph Curry on shooting, and so much more, just waiting there for you. Get unlimited access to every class. And right now, as a Twist listener, you can get 15% off when you go to masterclass.com/startups. That's masterclass.com/startups for 15% off an annual membership. Masterclass.com/startups. All right, let's go on to what's this Pink Floyd one?
Okay, yeah, this is interesting. So let me just cue this one up.
I love Pink Floyd. I've been,
I know.
I've been listening to Dark Side of the Mule. Dark Side of the Mule. If you know, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Mule. It's a cover band that does a live version on New Year's of Dark Side of the Mule. It's a live album by Government Mule, and they just cover like the great songs by Pink Floyd. It's pretty dope.
Yeah. So I want to give Rowan credit again for this one because he found it, and then I went and read the article. But basically, high level, what they did was researchers at Berkeley, and we'll include links to this stuff for folks. But
shout out to Berkeley.
Shout out to Berkeley. What they're able to do was implant some electrodes into a person's brain that had, some issues regarding speech. And they were able to recreate a song through a person's neural activity associated with the song. And so I'm just going to play this here. Hopefully the audio comes through. So the original song. This is short, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay, sweet.
Okay. And now this is the recreation.
Wait a second. Wait, what do you mean recreation? Who's recreating that?
An AI. So here's the article. Let me, sorry, I got a lot of windows open here.
So an AI created the brainwave version of that song so I could experience it?
No, this is not so you could experience it. So, these are the electrodes that were hooked into the person's brain.
Okay,
so,
yeah, it's a skull cap. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, but these are actually on the brain. It's not like, so just they call out that it's not, you can't read people's minds with this, but if you actually can hook up into the brain, an AI basically can recreate audio from brain waves of you recalling how you're hearing the song. And so think about this from a speech perspective.
That was the output of my brain.
That was the output of your
me
brain.
Humming.
Yes.
Oh, so it's like me humming.
Yes.
And the AI, oh, wow. Well, it's really weird.
Yeah.
What's the application of that? I can replay my experiences.
What if you can't speak? What if you have a speech impediment?
So then I could have my computer, I could read a poem, and the AI would figure out what my brainwaves were saying, and then you could actually hear me read a poem or sing a song.
Yeah, or
it sounds like it's underwater. Yeah, it sounds like it's underwater or over like a phone, which is exactly how like a lot of these things start out. Marconi sending telegraphs, and it's it's going to evolve from here.
And last week we didn't get to talk about it, but there was like a negative article out there of like an AI being used to listen to keystrokes. Did you see this one? Where
explain that to everybody.
Yeah. So basically, someone had used some form of AI. I don't know particularly which one it was, to use an audio of you typing in your keystrokes to basically determine what you were typing. And the idea is that again, pattern recognition. That's all these things are about, right? Is understanding patterns. So I guess when we type, we follow certain patterns, and if you give enough of that sample data to an AI, it can just recreate whatever you're typing. Between telling the difference between how fast you type ER versus ET versus EP,
TH.
and what exactly, because the speed from those, the distance of those characters and all that matter. And so That was like
I
sort of
wonder if it
maybe.
needs training data from an individual or if it has training data from just,
I don't think it was
100
individual.
hours of people typing the most common words.
I think it's the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
then what could happen is and I think this probably already exists in the CIA, FBI, Mossad, everything, KGB, that they have ways to do this already, because they also have ways to look at your phone. And when you use your fingerprint on your keypad, you could look on an angle or with certain, chemicals, figure out where you press the button most often from the oil on your finger.
To figure out your code. Yep.
Figure out your code. And so here you could test this. So the researchers used a 2021 MacBook Pro to test their concept, a laptop that features a keyboard identical in switch design to their models from the last 2 years and potentially those in the future, typing on 36 keys 25 times each to train their model on the waveforms associated with each key. So that to me indicates it's not just the typing of like common words like the. It might be that certain keyboards give off a certain sound for Q, W, E, R, T, Y, and each one of those might be slightly different. That's wild. Or it could be the acoustics, because if you had the speaker in the right spot, it was stationary. The time for the Q versus, say, the P, opposite ends left and right of your keyboard, could come in at a different angle. Because there was a company called ShotSpotter. It was a really cool idea. I didn't invest in it, but it's active in a lot of locations. I think they had Oakland. They put microphones all over a community. When a gun goes off, they figure out, and they triangulate within like 100 feet where the gunshot was from. Really powerful. And then they just send the cars right there. Cops go right to that location. Very powerful. Okay, what's this God mode? What's God mode?
Yeah, so this one I think you'd really like.